Good day everyone, my name is Junaid Khan and I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I'm going to be making today's video on visitor visa application for Canada specifically, and I will be talking about what is this application. Second segment is going to be the processing part, and the end of the video you'll get to know about commonly asked queries. I will be answering multiple queries which I normally got multiple times from people around the globe. If we talk about the processing, first of all, we need to know what is this visa category. So TRV, I'm going to be using the word TRV multiple times in my video, and TRV stands for temporary resident visas. So when you're talking about temporary resident visas, there are two categories: study visa and visit visa. Both of these kind of visas are basically come under this category, which are temporary in nature. That means you have to show an immigration officer that after your visit or after your education you will come back to your home country. Other than that, there are multiple immigration processes in which you have to stay in Canada and basically getting a permanent residency. Okay, if we're talking about visit visa, so we need to specify one thing which is very important, that what is the purpose of your visit, right? So the visit visa is almost aligned through this one particular thing, that your purpose of your visit is supposed to be very strong, and that is only reason the immigration officer will convince that you will get this visa and you can visit Canada multiple times, or if you want, and a work chance. Now, in regards to the processing and the documentation, I wanted to ask few things over here, that there are few most important documents that are supposed to be in this application. First of all, you would know that the financial documents are very important. Now, if you are working as a salaried person, or if you're doing jobs in Pakistan or anywhere in the world, make sure your job letter is properly written, and your job letter, the way your job letter shows, that has to has your name, your ID number, passport number or ID card number, your salary should be there, your designation should be there, and the number of years or the number of months you have experience in that company. So this is how your job letter should look like. On top of that, we will be talking about the financial documents. So I'm not going to be talking about the basic documents which are definitely required, including your passport and IDs and your family information and your information. We are going to put these apart. We will be talking about the documents which are actually needed in your application, and some of these documents are actually not required, but they are supporting documents, but that plays a very important role in your application. So next part, I want to talk about the financial document. So banking statement is a very important document in this process. Why is bank statement important, and how an immigration officer will look at this document? There's no fixed number for the bank statement, specifically if we are talking about the visit visa to Canada. So the bank statement should accumulate in a way that if you are planning to visit Canada for 15 days, because you have to mention the time duration of your visit in your application. So if you are visiting Canada for 15 days, then you have to have sufficient funds that can show in your bank statement that you have enough funds for your accommodation for 15 days, for your food for 15 days, your air tickets are including in it, and plus you have to have some savings on top of that as well. So if you're planning for 15 days and you only have $10,000, which if we calculate is the exact amount of your trip, immigration officer might not convince on this, because this is the statement which only shows that you have sufficient fund to take this trip, but definitely you have other expenses back home as well. So the question might raise that how are you going to keep up with those expenses? So make sure your bank statement should show sufficient funds that you can take care of this trip, as well as your regular expenses as well back home as well. And if you're leaving your family back home, if you have kids and wife, definitely you will have to show that funds are available enough to take care of them. I am also going to talk about a few other important documents in regards to your ID. That means if you're married, you must show that In Pakistan, we normally refer it to FRC, which is Family Registration Certificate, and different country might call it in a different document name, but the certificate that can show your family ties to Canada. Now, the ties part is very important. So you have to show different ties that can convince an immigration officer that after your trip, you will definitely go back to your home country. And when we are talking about ties, there are two different ties, which I normally explain in the application. One tie is your family tie, and which is the strongest one, because if you are leaving your wife, your spouse, your parents, and your kids behind in your home country, then definitely you will come back to see them and you will come back to get together with them. Now, the second type of tie is going to be your financial ties. So if you are doing a job, definitely you have to show your job in your salary slip that you're making enough funds. But if you have any property, any assets, any investments in your country, you must attach those documents in your application as well. Now, those documents not only showing that you are financially stable, but they can also take an advantage that you have financial enough ties in back home that you would come back for. So if you have a house, make sure you put your document in a property evaluation segment, or if you have enough funds or investment anywhere, maybe you have invested your money in the bank, show that. Invested your money in multiple investment agencies, you can show that document as well, that you will come back to take care of your expenses and you will come back to take care of your properties and other investments as well. Now, I really wanted to spend a little bit more time on the commonly asked queries in regards to the visit visa application. First and the foremost, the question is going to be, how long am I gonna get this visa for? Like, for how many years my passport is going to stamp? Now, there are multiple answers to different people which I have spoken to. So some people are really believing that Canada is going to stamp your passport for 10 years. And some people know that it's going to be stamped for 5 years. Now, there is no way, me being an RCIC or anybody or yourself, if you're putting your application in, you can tell an immigration that how long you want this visa for. So basically, it's completely on immigration discretion that if they allow you to come to Canada for 5 years, or they will stamp your passport for 10 years. And in very rare cases, I have seen immigration only given visas for 6 months. So this is in nobody's hand other than the immigration, that how are they going to stamp and what period they're going to stamp your passport. So that was the first. Second questions, I normally ask very commonly that how long can I stay in Canada in a visit visa application? So the answer is 6 months, period. I mean, 6 months is a legitimate stay in Canada that you can do. You can stay for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, that's completely up to you. But if you wanted to extend your plan, extend your visit once you arrived in Canada, now you have to count the days, the day you land in Canada and the 6 months after. In some cases, there are exemptions in a way that, you know, if you really convince an immigration officer and you have to apply for it, you have to apply for an extension if you want to stay longer than 6 minutes. And in some cases, you have to exit Canada if you really have to come back, or if you have an emergency which you have to dealing with in Canada, then you have to exit. And once you re-enter Canada, your 6 months revives again. But the period is 6 months. That is the fixed period that you can stay on visit visa application in Canada. Now, the other question is, if you have a visa for 10 years, should I still stay 6 months or more than 6 months because I have a valid visa stamped on my passport? Again, 6 months is going to be the fixed period. You can leave before, and if you really want to extend it, you have to apply for an extension. On top of that, there's another question which is commonly asked and by multiple people, that is biometric important for Canadian visa services? And that is absolutely important, and that is the basic necessity. So once you apply for your case, you have to pay the fees for in regards to your application fee, as well as biometric fee once you submit your application. And once you submitted it, there are multiple biometric agencies. Normally it's a VFS Global, and you can book your appointment, and you will definitely get a biometric letter once you apply the visa. If you haven't gotten a biometric letter, last couple of days I have seen people are getting those biometric letters a little later. So it shouldn't be an issue. It happened with a couple of my clients as well, that we received a biometric letter after 72 hours and after 3 to 4 days. It should be okay, but normally once we apply the application, we should be getting our biometric letter within 24 hours within the same portal. Another question which I've been asked commonly in regards to the visit visa application, that can we, whatever we have mentioned in our application, let's suppose if someone while answering the questions in the forms, and they have mentioned that we want to make a trip in September, right? And they got the visa. Now their plan is a little bit disturbed and they cannot really travel in September, and they want to travel in December or any other month or any later than the time period they have mentioned. So people normally ask is it possible? Can we delay our trip? We already have the visa. We wanted to go a little later, a couple of months after. The answer is absolutely yes. It's completely up to you. If you have mentioned something in your application and now after getting the visa, you feel like you cannot really travel and you cannot really fulfill that plan, that is absolutely okay. Whenever you feel like, you can make a visit, as long as the validity of your visa is correct and as long as the validity of your visa is still there. So if your visa is valid, you can go anytime you want to, even if you want to go a year later, 6 months later, according to what you have mentioned in your documentations.